Welcome to our weekly Forex forecast, and this is for trading on or for the week of October 26th to the 29th, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, especially right now with the market being a little volatile here. So please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. If it will come up, here we go. All right, so overall, actually, before we get into the news events, so overall, what do we have going on in the market currently? So focus right now is on the upcoming elections in the US. So that is, we are about a week, just over a week here away from the elections. That may get drawn out a bit. So do expect volatility for another couple of weeks at least around the elections there. And other than that, Brexit negotiations have been sending the market back and forth as well. So there's volatility in the pound as a result of the elections. Sorry, as a result of, my apologies, the Brexit negotiations as well. So pound, we have seen problems with pound as well. Let me just fix this here. This week should be. All right, thank you. Okay, so coming up here this week, we have new home sales data here. We have Swiss National Bank chairman speaking. So on Monday, not a ton in terms of news here. And on Tuesday here, the important stuff would be, we're looking at money supply here. That could be important. These sorry, excuse me, these orders here, core durable goods orders, these tend to be important. But again, I think the main focus here is going to be any kind of commentary and stuff in regards to the elections. But also we've been seeing the back and forth in regards to the stimulus package being passed, and that can cause some movement in the market as well. So if the stimulus package does get passed, that will be positive for the stock market and negative for the US dollar. So just keep that in mind. So any headlines coming out in regards to the stimulus package are likely to cause an impact on the market. So we also have CPI numbers here, our inflation numbers out of Australia. So if the numbers are as expected here or higher than expectation, that will be good for Australian dollar. And actually another thing to bear in mind that will become more important as we go through here into the winter months here will be the resurgence in coronavirus cases. Over the summer, we saw steady growth in the number of cases, nothing drastic. But now that the weather is getting cooler, we are starting to see more cases come up as well. And now the testing is better, and all of those things play a role as well. The problem will be when we have when we see different countries or different areas going back into lockdown. That will have a negative impact on the economy. So we have to be cautious of that. So this is just something to keep in back of your mind as we go through here, as we get into our November, late November, December, January, February. This is when we're likely to see a lot more of these, but it is starting now. So that's something we have to be aware of. Wednesday here, we do have Bank of Canada monetary policy statement. At this point, I wouldn't expect Bank of Canada to change something. So Canadian government has been providing a lot of support to pretty much everybody across the board. So I wouldn't expect Bank of Canada to even look at negative rates. But if they do, for some reason, mention negative rates, that would be very negative for Canadian dollar. I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting them to hold the monetary policy steady because the government is doing stuff in terms of fiscal policy. So should they do that, should they continue on with what they're doing, that will be positive for Canadian dollar. But any sort of them giving more stimulus into the economy or anything like that would be negative. And then there's press conference coming up here. We also have Bank of Japan. So two banks right back to back on the same day here. Same thing, Bank of Japan is already negative, but if they start talking more about the stimulus package and so forth, or adding to the stimulus package, that will be negative for Japanese yen. And then on Thursday here, we have ECB, so another central bank right off the bat here. With Europe, we'll have to pay attention here because we are already seeing resurgence in the virus cases, and that could have a negative impact on things. So if ECB is concerned about it, if they're concerned about a slowdown in economic recovery due to resurgence, or they express concerns around different countries going back into lockdown in Europe, all of those things will be negative for euro. And of course, we have GDP numbers here from the US. They are expected to be way better for the quarter because things were open now. So if the numbers come in as expected, this will actually be good for the stock market as well. So right now, the focus will be more on the stock market, and the US dollar is more on the sidelines in the sense that stock market is driving the flow of money, not so much the US dollar at the moment. And then coming up on Friday here, GDP numbers out of Eurozone here. We have Germany, France. We have the economic barometer here as well. Lots of data on Friday, so watch out for that. The numbers that are in line with expectations will be positive here for the euro. So tons of euro data here. And then on Friday as well, we have GDP monthly numbers. The Bank of Canada policy statement will be more important than the monthly GDP numbers. But again, GDP numbers are generally they're important ones. So we'll keep an eye on that. Any positive numbers will be good for Canadian dollar. And then consumer sentiment numbers as well as Chicago PMI numbers. Lately, the numbers have been good. So if that continues, if we see the numbers meeting expectations, that would overall be good for the US dollar. Okay, so let's go to the charts now. Okay, so starting off with euro dollar here, euro couldn't go through the support here. We have seen a turnaround, and a lot of this has to do with the turnaround in the stock market. So stock markets were dropping and now they're back up again. So we'll have to keep an eye on things. So generally, we see the stock market drop as we go into the elections, but they haven't really dropped. They have just held steady. So these are looking more neutral here. And a big thing has been because of the potential for stimulus. So everybody's waiting on the stimulus package, and that is good for the stock market, negative for the US dollar. So US dollar overall hasn't done that well. So this week we do have a bullish engulfing candle. So price held the support here, and now we're looking for a further move to the upside here. So this was a bit of a pullback, so we could get a further move to the upside. Now price is into resistance, so that's the only thing to be mindful of, because this is where it has struggled previously and it has turned around. So watch out for that. If it's not able to hold above, then we could still see a turnaround, but it is looking bullish. Overall, it's holding this whole bullish sentiment here. It hasn't been able to break down. So if it doesn't break down, chances are it's going higher. So bullish bias here. Once we see this move through our resistance level here, next target is 1.1965 and then 1.2010. So bullish bias here for euro dollar for this week. Pound dollar here, this one is more neutral, and mainly because of the Brexit negotiation. So we did see price go into this previous support resistance level, and now we have to see, can we get this head and shoulders scenario to hold? So right now, this is where we are. So it is into the head and shoulders. It's in the middle of it. So can it hold? That will be the thing. So if it is not able to get through here, so we are then looking for a further move to the downside. for the last several weeks here, it's just been going sideways at the moment. So right now it's neutral bias. There is bullishness in this candle, but then we also have rejection at the top. So right now I'm looking for a retest of the high, which is 1.3180 level. And then if it holds, then we're looking for a move back down here towards 1.2870. However, should it go through, so let's say the stock market starts to go back up and we see US dollar dropping, then this is likely to go higher as well, right into the top here. So for now, this will be neutral, and then it will depend on how price reacts to this level. So right now I am looking for a bit of a pullback here. If it holds below, looking for a drop into 1.2870. So neutral bias for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, we saw price come into the support. It did drop, came right into the first support level here, and then has bounced back up. So now it's in the middle of this range that it has been trading in. So over the last 4 weeks, as we can see, price has been sideways here. It has rejected the support level. So I'm looking for a move back towards the resistance, towards the top of the range. And then if it holds, back into the range. So for now, bullish bias within the range, and target would be 0.7240. So neutral to bullish here, neutral because of the range, but bullish within the range. So target is 0.7240. Aussie dollar here, New Zealand dollar, same thing here. We see that price has been sitting in this broad range here for the last couple of months here, actually. So we see a rejection from the bottom. So now we're looking for a move back towards the high of 0.6800. And then if it holds below the top of the range, we're back into the range here. So again, this is bullish within the range, but overall this is sideways. So neutral to bullish bias for New Zealand dollar as well. Dollar CAD here, this one is right into our support level, and right now it's right into that support level. So I would say neutral to bearish bias here. Next target would be 1.3020. And then should it get through that, we're looking at 1.2950. So bias here is neutral to bearish. The problem will be if it doesn't break through the support, we could see it go back into this range. So this has been stuck in this sideways, somewhat of a sideways move here as well. And we need to see a break of the support for it to go into the next level. So it does have those bearish tendencies, but watch out. These are important support areas where price has struggled previously. So neutral to bearish bias for dollar CAD. Euro pound here, this one is stuck sideways here for a number of weeks here. As we can see, it hasn't really gone anywhere in the last 4 or 5 weeks. So today or this week's candle is completely neutral. We have pins with a small candle body, neutral bias here, and we're likely to see this go back and forth. And this will be directly impacted by the Brexit negotiations. Any positive news in regards to them moving closer to an agreement will be positive here. Will be positive for British pound. So this one may cause it to drop, but I would just expect it to go back and forth. So neutral bias there. Euro Swiss franc here, this one as well is still trading in this range here. It's neutral for this week, hasn't been able to break through the support. So now it may just hold above the support level. And if it does that, then basically we're looking for a move back into the range. But overall, as we can see for weeks here, actually for months, it's just been neutral. It's been going sideways. And now it wasn't able to break last week. It wasn't able to break through the support. And we may see a turnabout as a result of that. So neutral here, target would be 1.0850. So neutral to bullish within the range again. Pound Swiss franc here, this is another one of those that has been stuck sideways here as well over the last several weeks. This is where it's been trading here. So for 3, 4, 5 weeks here, it's been stuck in the range. This week's candle close, not very strong. It did have bearishness. It did drop into the support, but wasn't really able to go through the support level. And as such, if it holds above, so I'm looking for a retest of that. If it holds, we're looking for a further move to the upside. But this one overall, it has been in a broader range here. So this is the broader range. And within that, we have a narrower range that it's been trading in. So right now, I'm just expecting it to trade in this range. If it goes through the support, then I would be looking for the bottom of this broader range. So this is the bottom of the broader range. And right now is holding below. So if it continues to hold, then I'm looking for a drop towards the support. But for that, it has to break this support first. And right now it is struggling. So we could see a turnaround like we did there, back towards 1.1920. So neutral bias for pound Swiss franc. Dollar Swiss franc here, this one has dropped. US dollar has not done that well over the last week. But again, these things are going to be volatile. US dollar is going to be volatile going into the elections here. So just bear that in mind, which means we could see things turn around fairly quickly. So it's not a done deal that this is bearish. Now, keep in mind, it is also into support. So right now, I would say bearish, but as we can see, price has not been able to break this support in several months. So if it doesn't go through this, it can turn around from the bottom. So right now, dollar Swiss franc is bias is bearish into 0.8997, so 0.90 essentially. And then if it holds, we're looking for a move back up again into the range. So neutral to bearish. So neutral because it's overall, again, this one is sideways as well. Whether you look at this narrow range or the broader range, hasn't really been able to go through. And when price gets stuck like this, many times it can turn. So neutral to bearish here for dollar Swiss franc as well. Target is 0.9030. And only if it goes through this level, then it turns bearish. And then we're basically looking for a continuation move downward. So this will become our kind of a flag pattern. And once it breaks through the support here, then we'll be looking for that continuation move lower back into the support potentially here. But that one hasn't materialized yet. So we'll just keep in mind for now, but can't act on it till we see a breakdown. And then we'll come back to that. So neutral to bearish for dollar Swiss franc. Pound yen here, this one also again going sideways here, hasn't really done much in the last 4 weeks, hasn't gone through the resistance, hasn't broken down. So this one again sideways here. It looked like it was rejecting the resistance here, but there is some bullishness in it as well. So right now this is neutral. I will look for a pullback potentially into this area here. Then if it drops, then we could look for a further drop. But for it to continue into the support, it has to break through this support level, which it hasn't done yet. So we'll wait for that. And until then, this is looking neutral, and we'll just leave the next level here, and then we'll see how this one plays out within the range. So for now, the target here will be 135. So I would look for 135.50 as the target here. If it goes through that, then we're looking for 133. So neutral to bearish. Euro yen here, this one is completely neutral at the moment. As we can see, for the last several weeks, it's been stuck here for the last 4 weeks now. As such, still neutral. If it breaks through the support, so the first target would be 123. Only if it breaks through that, then we're looking for 122.50. But it's not a done deal yet. This one still has to, the move has to materialize. And the yen crosses are very dependent on what happens in the stock market. So if the stock market drops, then the yen crosses will drop as well. Dollar yen here, this one is looking bearish. The first target would be into the base here, 104.20, and then 104. So bearish bias for dollar yen. Aussie yen here, this one has not done much It's just gone sideways over the last week here. Hasn't quite broken through the support, very, very small candle body. So this is neutral here. If it breaks through the support, then we'll start looking for next levels to the downside. But for now, for the last 5 weeks here, it's been trading sideways. And at this point, if it doesn't break through the support, then essentially we're looking for a move back up towards the top of the range here. So this is the range that I will keep an eye on for the time being. Now, once we see a drop through this, then we're looking for, we could get this move. But until then, it's still neutral. So it seems like overall the market is in this wait and see mode, mainly because of US elections. Because it's a major event, it will have an impact on a lot of different things. So that's where we are right now. In terms of New Zealand yen, this one, we have seen this stuck in this overall range here. Within that range, price is stuck sideways here for the last 4 weeks. We do have a bit of a rejection from this immediate support. So I'm looking for price to go into the top of the range. If it goes through that, then looking for price to move into the top of the broader range at 71.80. But until then, this is overall, this is still neutral. It's going sideways. CAD yen this week, not much of a move. Price has just gone back and forth, neutral candle close for the day, for the week here. So looking for it to basically just be sideways again. So slightly bearish to neutral here. Once it drops through the support, I will look for 78.50. However, if it holds above the 79.40 level, then we are going back up again. All these, like I said, right now, no clear direction in the market on all of these yen crosses. So we'll just have to keep our levels and watch them. Okay, so looking at our commodities here, silver. Silver hasn't done much, and seems like the overall market is in holding pattern back and forth here. As we can see here, there was a rejection of the resistance. So this is sideways as well. So it's been trading in a bit of a range. I will look for a move towards 23.50. And then if it holds, we are back into the range once again. So neutral bias here for silver. So neutral to slightly bearish, we can say. Gold here, gold again, stuck in a range here as well for the last 4 weeks here. We see a rejection, there's a pin bar. So rejection of the resistance, which means we're likely to see a move back towards the support level here. So first target would be 1873, and then we are looking at, so should it continue, then we are looking at 1848. So neutral to bearish bias for gold here. Oil is still stuck in a range, and it has rejected the top of the range. So we do have a bearish candle close. So looking for a move back towards 36.80, which is the bottom of the range. So this one is also neutral to bearish. So bearish within the range here. Copper here, copper has done well over the last several weeks. And this week's candle is neutral here as well. And the reason for the neutral candle is because we have a large pin here on the top, but there's still bullishness in this candle. So last time price was here, it did struggle a bit. So we could see it go sideways. At this point, I would look for a potential retest of the high. And then if it holds, looking for a drop, but we may just see a sideways move here. So neutral to bullish here. Next target would be 3.17 for copper. Bitcoin, I don't have the weekly numbers, but Bitcoin's done really well. Lately, there have been some positive news. Russia again talking about digital currency. PayPal is getting into the business of cryptos. So now we're seeing a lot more players jumping into this market. Facebook was on here already, and now PayPal. So this is becoming, starting to become or go towards more mainstream now. as a result of that, we have seen Bitcoin go up. So the candle close for the week is looking very bullish at the moment. So bias is bullish. Next target is 13,800. Now we are coming into some strong resistance levels, which means price could go back and forth. So I would look for a bit of a sideways move here, especially after we have had a jump. A lot of times sellers will come into the market and we may see a drop, which can cause it to go sideways here. So bullish bias, next target, like I said, is 13,800. S&P 500 here, this one is holding. It dropped a bit like we had talked about last time, but not looking very solid right now, not a solid bearish candle close. This one looks like we're seeing rejection. And on the daily here, it's in a holding pattern, not really doing much. So now we may see a move back towards 35.50. So right now the bias is neutral. At this point, we may see a move towards this because we have seen a rejection of the support. And many times when we see a rejection, we tend to see a move in the opposite direction. So neutral at the moment, 35.50 will be the target here. So any kind of, if they reach an agreement in regards to the stimulus package, that will be positive for the stock market, and we're likely to see all of them go up. Nasdaq here, Nasdaq again, looking at the daily, not much of a move. It seems like it's holding above this 11,530 level, which means we are likely to go back up here. So back into 12,275. So right now, neutral bias here. This does not look like a strong sell signal at the moment. So we need to wait. And as such, bias is neutral here. So we may see a slight, basically a turnaround is what I'm looking for here. So neutral bias for NASDAQ as well. Dow Jones here, same thing. It's stuck in this narrow range this whole week. It's been stuck here, hasn't broken through the support, even though it has tried several times. And when price hits the wall, many times it can turn around. And looks like it's, again, the stock market is waiting on the stimulus package. If we get the stimulus package soon, the stock market's likely to go higher. So right now, this is trading in a big, broad range at the moment. But if it holds above the support here at 28,000, then I'm looking for a move back towards the high here again of 28,970. So right now, neutral bias for Dow Jones as well. DAX here, DAX came into the support, and as we can see here, it has pulled back a bit. So overall, though, this one as well, also trading in a range. It's right into the support level here. Last time price was here, it got pushed higher. This time already we have seen a turnaround. So at this point, I'm looking for a move back towards this 13,000 and potentially higher level here. So neutral bias for DAX as well. And then FTSE, we saw FTSE drop, but again, a large pin on the bottom, suggesting that we may see a move higher here. This is likely to turn around just like it did here. So we may see a move back towards 6040. So right now, again, a neutral bias for FTSE as well. So it's still stuck in range, in this range. So I'm looking for it to trade within this range. And last but not least, Nikkei as well. It is stuck in a range as well. This is a very, very narrow range. It's holding the support though, which means we may see a break towards the, we could see a break to the highs. So right now, as we can see, it's rejecting the support. So I will look for a move towards 23,740-ish level, and potentially then higher. But the candle close for this week is completely neutral. It hasn't really done anything. So neutral bias for this. We need to see a break either through the resistance or through the support for this one to go anywhere. So bias is neutral. All right, so that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful trading week, and I'll be back with the daily on Monday. Bye for now.